This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Ward.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
This week we watched The Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas. In this live-action prequel to The Flintstones 1994, the Flintstones and the Rubbles go on a trip to Rock Vegas, where Wilma Slag Hoople is pursued by Playboy Chip Rockefeller. Let's watch. Back from the dead.
We're back from the dead, revived, revivified once more.
Rejuvenated. We've stopped, we've revived, and we've survived.
A very specific reference.
If only more of our listener base were Australian instead of a lot of Americans that we seem to entice.
A bunch of people from Canada, a bunch of people from the UK. We're all over that Anglo world, baby.
But yeah, we're back.
We're back. It's so funny because last time we had a break, it was like twice as long. It was like 3 months. But we didn't really announce it. We just went on a break.
Yeah.
You know? And then we just like sort of went, look, here's a bonus episode. We're coming back in like another month.
Yeah.
You know? This time we made a specific announcement. Hey, we're coming back in 2 weeks. Many more weeks than that later.
Yes. Whoops. Yeah, look, life had other plans.
We'd fallen behind last year and we just never were able to catch up, especially not over Christmas and stuff. And then you moved and then I was fucking exhausted.
Yeah. There was so much going on. Claude and I remembered how in January we went away to Gembrook.
Yeah.
And we were looking at photos from it and I was like, that was like 3.5 months ago. And he was like, what the fuck? That feels like a year ago because just so much has happened since then. But we have moved into our home that we own, which is very exciting. But that was just a lot of effort. And I still don't feel fully like I'm in. You know, I haven't hacked into the mainframe yet.
It takes a while after you move.
It does. And I was talking to you about this. It's this annoying thing.
And every time you do talk to me about something, I'm like, when will she stop?
I know. It's great that we have a podcast together. But the furniture for our last place was suited for our last place. And now it feels like all the furniture that we have really doesn't fit in the space that we have now. And it's so annoying. Not style-wise, just the practicality
literally doesn't fit.
Yeah, exactly. And like we need a different couch, we need a different wardrobe.
It's part of why moving is expensive. It's not just moving your stuff from A to B. Every time I'm like, I don't want to move, someone's like, no, just chuck everything in a van. I'm like, no, you get to the other side, stuff isn't going to fit. You have to make new compromises. You have to sell old stuff and buy new stuff.
It's a lot of time. I feel like it's taking up my every thought as being like, this house doesn't feel like a home. And because of that, I don't feel settled. Yeah. I think it was easier in our last place because we came with less items and we just got to fill it. But now we have items and we need to either reduce or replace. I know. Too many items.
But
we're in. Yeah. And not settled, but it's done.
You're locked in.
That is what a mortgage feels like. Yeah.
Getting in a car and turning it on and driving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, it feels like you're getting locked in a car.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And it's a hot day.
What did you?
And I'm tapping on the glass and I'm like,
let me out, please.
Please, it's really hot. But yeah, that's really. And then I also went away on a trip, which was lovely.
Yeah.
But life got in the way. Did you miss us, guys?
Did you miss us? Well, because then at the same time as that, I was dealing with... So when I was 18, I got diagnosed with bipolar and then spent the next 11 years basically trying to pretend that didn't happen.
Michelle's had a lot of revelations recently.
Yeah.
You were taking Vyvanse for like 2 years.
Yeah. And
it turns out if you might have... This is what I told Michelle, guys, by the way, like literally 2 weeks ago maybe, where I said to her, there's like a big overlap of bipolar and ADHD getting misdiagnosed for one another. And apparently it's really bad for you to take amphetamines if you do have bipolar. And you were like, what?
I was like, you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they tell me that?
Yeah. And you were on like mega amphetamines, you know?
Yeah.
For 2 years or something.
Yeah. Which explains a lot about how I was feeling for the last 2 years and why I felt like I was going insane all the time.
When did you start Vyvanse again?
2022.
2022?
No, 2021.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
No wonder.
Yeah. And this is what I mean. Like and part of it is my own hubris and just trying to avoid it. Part of it is also, I don't know why they don't mention, hey, if you've been diagnosed with these things, don't have this medication.
Yeah. Or if there's the possibility that you might have these things, if this is something you're thinking you might have, there probably should be a disclaimer. Someone at some point should have asked, hey, no one's ever thought you had bipolar, right? That's never been a thing that's come up, right?
Especially since part of the way I got diagnosed in the first place was taking antidepressants and then going into a hypomanic episode. A really common way to get diagnosed, because that's a really common reaction to antidepressants if you have bipolar.
Yeah.
And I get why they don't screen it with antidepressants, because those are much more commonly prescribed than bipolar, you know?
Yeah. But it's making a lot of sense. So now you're on a mental health journey all over again.
Yeah, which I realized because I was in a hypomanic episode and then went, I recognize this. Damn, can't run from this anymore. And then immediate depressive episode. And so like, while you were moving and everything, I'm like, I have no energy and no ability to think about
great timing.
any of this.
Great timing.
Yeah.
Truly.
If I watched the Flintstones whilst I was in the middle of my depressive episode.
No. This is not the worst one.
That's true.
This was fine.
We are once again batch recording, and this is easily not the worst one we had to do.
Yeah, we're trying to get ahead again, guys, for you, for the viewers, the listeners.
The sacrifices we make for you guys.
As always, we turn up here and we blame you for us being here, because we could be doing anything else tonight.
We could. The upside of it all is that, look, we are sticking to the list. We're doing it. We're going to complete the whole thing.
We are.
To complete our odyssey of self-flagellation.
Yeah.
The thing that is good for us rather than the listeners is that if we need a break, we're allowed to take it.
Yeah.
We're not contractually obligated. We are contractually obligated to finish. No one said on what timeline.
You've come so far.
No one said on what timeline, baby.
Because when we began, Michelle was pretty rigorous about it being every single week.
Yeah.
And hated taking breaks.
Yeah.
It's great that you have learned to take a break. No one gives a fuck if we leave for 6 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Hey, we have listeners who care about us.
Do we care about them? No, we do. We do. We love you guys. You guys are great. You're like family to us, whoever you are.
I missed you. Hey, wait, how have you guys been?
Speak up.
Speak up.
I can't hear you.
Talk louder, please.
I think they're on mute.
I think if you unmute on your phone that you're listening, unmute.
I think it's just
and then
breaking
talk
up.
and then talk louder. Yeah, okay.
This always happens.
Okay.
I feel like they're not like I love our listeners, but they're not the most verbal people.
I get it. Let's just hang up.
Yeah.
Beep.
Because we're calling all of them live right now.
Yeah. This
Mass
is
dialing.
live, and literally no one has ever joined.
No one has ever responded. At the end of every episode, we give the listeners the floor to ask questions. Just silence.
So I usually edit it out. You know,
but we've been doing that for 4 years.
We've been doing that for 4 years, baby.
Dude, we've almost been doing this for 4 years.
Yeah.
How... I think, honestly, it's your perseverance that has gotten us here, obviously.
Thank you.
Because I would have given up, like, 2 episodes in. But I think after Zoolander 4, actually, I would have taken... Zoolander 2.
Yeah.
I would have taken a step back. There is no 4th Zoolander, thank God. But, like, I think that we have changed and grown so much over 4 years as well.
I think so too.
It's been a crazy 4 years. I mean, we were 25
and then we just do a clip show episode. It's been a crazy 4 years. Too much milk. Michelle. Abby. I was telling you about this moment where both of us independently were rewatching Community, which is a very fun coincidence, and how much we related to Annie and Britta. I think you've even mentioned on the podcast before was comparing me to Annie. I remembered after that conversation.
Definitely.
And how much in particular you related to Britta, who is a little messy and stuff. And, you know, through a lot of your 20s, you're a messy gal in the most fun way.
I'll be honest. I feel like I put the messiness on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Definitely for the podcast.
Oh,
I have
for
to say, here's the big secret,
for
listeners.
sure.
I'm very stable and boring most of the time.
But that's been your arc on the podcast. The arc of the podcast has you, like, I don't believe in love to I am married.
I can't stop taking drugs. I don't touch drugs anymore.
I don't know what I'm going to do to I own a home. Like,
yeah.
Meanwhile, my life's been down.
No, it hasn't, Michelle. No, it hasn't. You know what you've gained? More self knowledge. I think you know thyself more.
I know a lot more of what I don't like.
Yes.
And it's every movie on this list.
I think that's genuinely what helps as you get older. It's really just a process of filtering down into what you do like and getting rid of what you don't like.
Totally.
And that's why getting older gets better.
Totally.
I know that you're scared of turning 30, but I'm fucking hyped because I think my 30s are going to be
I wish you could do it first then. Jeez.
Sorry that you're fucking 6 months older than me. I don't know what it was like growing up in the fucking Stone Age. But I feel like it's like in Suddenly 30 where she says, you know, the 30s are the best decade of your life. You're 30, flirty and thriving. It's true. Because your 20s are way worse than anyone prepares you for.
Yeah.
I truly believe that you think that once you graduated high school, basically that once you turn 20, you've got it figured out. Not true.
Yeah. Well, I you know what? I honestly, on reflection, and you and I went to a concert on Sunday to go see Sleater Kinney, and it rekindled a lot of my love for music and stuff, as well as my love for them. And for Carrie Brownstein.
Carrie in particular.
A musical and comedy icon of mine, of ours.
Yeah.
But I was reflecting in particular on the moment when I was 17, when I was asked to choose between film and music and stuff.
In school?
In school, it was a long conversation with my mum where I had been wanting to go to film school for a long time, and she was like, I'll support you. You've been doing music a lot more than film over the last 2 years. Do you want to do that instead? And it was this sort of inflection point where I had to really examine what exactly I was about to do. Am I doing movies because that's been where it's always been pushing, or do I do music because that's clearly the thing that I'm leaning more towards as I get older, you know? And I made my choice at the time, and I think that's part of why turning 30 is scary, is the music industry especially, as well as the movie industry, but more from like an actor point of view, really, really overvalues people who are in their early 20s.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like getting closer to 30 feels like going like, well, I know I made that decision like 12 years ago, but now it feels more cemented of like, to pivot over into music as a 30-year-old is very different than doing it as a 20-year-old.
Yeah, although I think you'd be surprised by how much people, because it's true, I think the reason that they're overvalued is that there's the concept of an it girl and it person.
Totally.
You know, youth is trendy, youth is, you know, like they're clued in. But I also feel like if you're coming at it from, say, like a film world and not as an actor, it's probably better to be older and have the experience.
Sure.
You get more respect in the community.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, if you were going to start a girl band, it's definitely, I think the whole experience of being a woman in particular, and this is something my mom used to tell me, is that as you get older, you become invisible to society, which has both benefits and negatives, because everyone wants to be seen. But also, you know, people don't want to get catcalled their entire life.
Yeah.
So it's this strange thing of like, you do get less respect, not respect, you just get noticed less as you get older as a woman.
Totally.
Why are we talking about this?
It's your app.
All right. Well, speaking of gender issues,
no, great
this
pivot.
week,
fucking awesome pivot.
we watched the Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas.
Yeah, baby.
And let me say straight off the bat, I fucking really enjoyed this movie.
Okay, well,
I actually really enjoyed this movie more than I should have.
I definitely, when watching it, was like, it's insane how low this is on the list.
Exactly, considering how hard some of the jokes hit.
Yeah.
And look, could that all be Jane Krakowski? Maybe.
We have squandered Jane Krakowski. If she was in Viva Rock Vegas, we've squandered her.
Well, she hadn't really had her moment yet, right?
I know,
this was 2001.
But what I'm saying is she's such a tour de force even in this.
She really is. She dominates comedically, I would say. Like every scene with her is immensely better.
It's not close. Like, she has lower billing in that movie than Stephen Baldwin.
I know.
We're squandering Jane Krakowski.
I think in this we need to ignore Stephen Baldwin, because the other three I actually enjoyed watching.
I think Mark Addy, I thought was good, like Robert Baratheon himself. I thought he was going to be worse. And
I don't know why they got an English actor in, but he did it well. He did the old Flintstone accent really well.
He kind of sounded just like Fred.
I hate Stephen Baldwin, and he, for some reason, he irritates me.
Maybe it's just your memories of Biodome.
Yeah, honestly. Is this the second time he's appeared on the list?
I think so, yeah.
Because I tried to look up his filmography and I couldn't find anything
I
else.
kept getting confused with the other Baldwin that we've seen on the list before.
Which one?
Because Stephen Baldwin's the youngest, the one who's the second youngest.
Let's find out.
Not Adam. Adam Baldwin is the one that's not really a Baldwin.
Is he not?
No, because there's four Baldwin brothers.
Baldwin.
William Baldwin. Billy Baldwin.
Yeah, Billy Baldwin.
Yeah. Who we saw in like Fair Game and stuff.
Yeah. I'm there now. I'm back.
Yeah, you're back in.
God, the Baldwin brothers all have such a distinct face.
Yeah.
But then we've got Kristen Johnson playing Wilma Slag Hoople, which I fucking loved as well.
I love Kristen Johnson.
She's so beautiful.
She's gorgeous.
She's stunning in this.
She is. And I grew up watching Third Rock from the Sun, so I've always been a big fan of hers.
Yeah.
And she really is stunning in this and so funny.
Yeah. She's actually just like really immersed. I enjoyed watching her. And I obviously enjoyed Jane Krakowski. Yeah. It was just Baldwin, really.
There's also one thing I will say up top that I was surprised by. This is an era where I feel like women weren't always allowed to be funny in a non-sexy way.
Yeah.
And Kristen Johnson in this is very funny in a way that is very like clumsy and getting stuff on her and all that sort of stuff.
And same with Jane Krakowski as well. Like even though she's like itty bitty, it's not about, I don't know, it's not objectifying her. She's making jokes that are clever and at her own expense in a sense.
She's got real jokes.
Truly.
And she's fucking hitting them.
The jokes were good. I was laughing. There's that bit where like, I think it's like the two women were funnier, I would say, than the two men. They stood out.
Absolutely.
And there's this bit where they're working at I'm jumping ahead plot wise, but there's a bit where basically Fred is like, I know how to talk to women. He turns to look at Betty and says, humana, humana, humana. And she goes, sorry, we don't do substitutions. Like so quickly. And it felt as quick as a 30 Rock joke, you know? It's very... There were a lot of things that made me laugh.
Now, that being said, in no way would I describe this as a pretty good movie.
Hey.
I wouldn't do that.
I don't know where my head's at these days.
Have you ever seen the original one?
Like the original movie or the original show?
The original movie.
No.
No?
Oh, with John Goodman?
Yeah, John Goodman.
Probably like back in the day.
John Goodman and Rick Moranis is fucking banger casting for Fred and Barney.
What about Rosie O'Donnell and whoever played Wilma?
I can't remember who played Wilma. They're all right. They're fine.
They're fine?
Yeah, they're fine.
It's a bit sexist. What, the men are great, but the women aren't.
You know what they should have done?
What?
They should have gotten John Goodman, Rick Moranis, and then Jane Krakowski and Kristen Johnson. Now that would have popped off.
It's crazy. It's like they read the script of this film and were like, we're not going to bother to come back for that.
Yeah, well, yeah. But this was such an era of like, we don't even need to bother. Like the sequels almost never had the original cast in it.
Oh, where are my standards at? I feel like I watched this. Now you're making me question myself because I feel like I watched this and I was like, comparatively, when we go into these viewings, we're setting ourselves up for a horrible time. Like I expect it to be painful.
Yeah.
So when it's not and I'm actually laughing, I'm like 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, baby. This is what I'm talking about.
This is not an 8 out of 10, but Abigail.
I know we complain all the time, but this is what this has done to us. And I can't help that I'm a product of this like masochistic exercise. Okay? This is who I am now.
This is who you are.
We're talking about growth. Well, in some sense, I have declined. Okay?
We've been on like a month and a half break, and we've come right back in, and we're picking up exactly where we left off.
Which is where?
Which is this is destroying our brains.
Yes. I didn't recover.
No, yeah.
I watched some nice films, some nice good films in that break, but no, my standards are still incredibly low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been permanently warped.
I think I've been permanently brain damaged from this podcast, I would say. There's like something incurable about this experience as well. Like this is 5 years of torture. 5 years of our lives.
Describing it as permanent, yeah, sure, I agree with you. Describing it as incurable, horrifying. Horrifying and accurate. Incurable.
No hope for recovery.
Terminal
stage 4.
Yeah.
Brain damage. That's how it works. I'm a
Stage
doctor. 4
IMDb worst 250.
Maybe we should no.
My hope is that the listeners who've, those of you out there who've listened to every episode, my hope is that we can take you down a little with us. I feel like listening to us surely doesn't make you smarter.
No, definitely not. But it also maybe it provides some comfort knowing that you haven't had to go through this as well.
Sure,
and that you have better standards than us. Let's launch into this film because I enjoyed it for one. And actually, I'm going to back myself. I had a good time.
All right.
I could potentially... Actually, no, I could. I couldn't. So I'm thinking about like more aspects of it that aren't just like how pretty Kristen Johnson was, and I couldn't. I couldn't. All right. This was directed by Brian Levant.
Oh.
Levant. Whatever you fancy.
Like the region.
Where's the region?
The Levant? That's like the east side of the Mediterranean basin, you know.
Oh, of course. Why did I...
Lebanon, Israel, Palestine,
I actually came with a
Syria.
lot of research about that. Yeah.
Okay.
I've come prepped with research and IMDb quotes on the Levant region of the Mediterranean basin. Well, he's directed things like Beethoven, that movie about that dog.
The dog, Beethoven. Not the man.
No.
Right.
Not the right... level of film, I would say, because the other things he's done he did the original Flintstones.
He
also did Jingle All the Way.
And
he did Snow Dogs. And he did Are We There Yet?
He did Are We There Yet?
Yeah, so this guy's a bit of a tour de force, I would say. He's on our level, you know. That's all I'll say.
Sure. I think that's good because it makes sure that we establish, like, we're never declaring ourselves above these people.
No, never.
Never.
We spend an hour of our lives each week talking at length about these people.
We're not better.
Also, Claude claims that Jingle All the Way is like one of his favorite Christmas films. I've never seen it.
That's crazy.
It's terrible, right?
That's crazy. It's like I remember an old friend of mine really liked that movie Miracle on 34th Street, the remake, not the original.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A movie that I hate because it is predicated on how romantic and magical it is to make the legal case for Santa's existence. And I'm like, the legality of it is not what makes Christmas fucking magical for me. This is cynical and awful.
But also, you don't like Polar Express, so I can't trust your opinion on Christmas movies.
Well, this is like what if instead of Polar Express going to the North Pole, it went to Sears. Miracle on 34th Street is all about how great Sears is. It's crazy.
Look, Miracle on 34th Street has never been my favorite Christmas film. Granted.
Yeah. It shouldn't be.
Yeah. But Polar Express, on the other hand.
Fine.
This was also written by Jim Cash. So there's 4 people that wrote this. And the last 2 excite me the most. Jim Cash, Jack Epps Jr., but the last 2 that helped write it were Harry Elfont and Deborah Kaplan. And they directed Can't Hardly Wait.
Oh, that's why they sound familiar.
Yeah, they're a little like writing-directing duo who I love. And Can't Hardly Wait, my favorite late 90s film ever. As you know, I'm sure I've talked about this many times.
I rewatched it earlier in the year. That's a great movie. It holds up.
It's so good. It's such a fun film. So they all wrote it together, but very exciting.
Wow.
It's the prequel, obviously, to the 1994 Flintstones. Mm-hmm. So that means like a good 7 years had passed, which is quite a long time for a sequel. It obviously is based on the original animated television series by Hanna-Barbera. And notably, this film was a massive box office failure.
Yeah.
What do you think its budget was?
It's hard because this was an era where there wasn't the same sequel bloat. So I imagine it cost less, especially having different people in it.
Yeah.
I don't think this was a time where Mark Addy and Stephen Baldwin were commanding huge fees. 35 million.
83 million.
What? On what? On what?
Props? I don't know.
What?
The sets?
The props that just look like fiberglass and foam?
No, they're lots of shells and things.
What?
I don't know, man.
$83 million?
I have no idea.
On this movie?
Maybe you went to Stephen Baldwin's coke habit. Who knows?
Why didn't they spend any of that money on lighting? It's one of the ugliest movies I've seen.
Wow.
It's not lit. It's just outside.
It's colourful.
Whatever.
What do you think it made?
If it $83 million, I think it made $35 million.
It made $60 million.
It made 60? That's still a big bomb. That's still a big bomb.
But if the budget had been 35, success.
Yeah.
So as we said, it's got Mark Addy, who plays Fred Flintstone, Stephen Baldwin. We've got Kristen Johnson as Wilma, Jane Krakowski as Betty O'Shale. We have Thomas Gibson playing Chip Rockefeller, Alan Cumming playing the Great Gazoo. And I need to say, so
yeah,
I know you've watched like a lot of like Hanna-Barbera, like, TV shows. But when I was a kid, we didn't have any Foxtel, and we never got to watch the Flintstones because it just wasn't showing on anything we watched at any time. We just never had exposure to it because it wasn't on the basic free-to-air channels, which means that I've never really watched the old Flintstones. I just know the basics about it. But I definitely didn't know about the Great Gazoo and what the Great Gazoo was, and I didn't know if it was a real character or not. So watching this at first, and it starts with the Great Gazoo, I was like, what the fuck?
This would be like a fucking fever dream.
I was like, did they make this for the movie?
To be fair, in the show, it's pretty fever dreamish.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's so weird.
But then when I saw the actual design of the Great Gazoo, I was like, actually, they copied him pretty well. Like, they did their best, to copy that bizarre design. But Alan Cumming also played Mick Jagger.
Okay.
Who was was a rip-off of Mick Jagger.
Him as the Great Gazoo doesn't work in the way it should.
But Mick Jagger.
Him as Mick Jagger.
So funny.
Really good.
That I actually kept laughing in the Mick Jagger bits.
Alan Cumming is an actor who is so frequently underutilized. I saw Burlesque the other day.
I don't know if he's underutilized. I feel like Hollywood had a boner for him at the end of like the millennium.
No, but they put him
in everything.
Yeah, but then they don't do anything with him.
They did so much with him.
They didn't. Like in Burlesque, he's like the doorman, and he's for the most part just like in the back of like 5 shots, and then he gets a number which is intercut with other stuff, so he barely gets the number, and it's easily one of the best bits. He's so good.
He's a twinky little British man that Hollywood had no business taking an interest in, so I'm actually shocked that they were so into him. And
because he's
great. You forgetting about him in Spy Kids? Okay, he was out of this world in Spy Kids.
He was so good. That's my point. He was so good in Spy Kids.
And they utilized the shit out of him.
Yeah.
I think there was almost, I will say, there was a bit too much Alan Cumming for me at some point, Like, there was a bit too much.
Well, what I'm saying is, where is it? Give me more Cumming. All I want is Cumming.
I know. I know. Harvey Korman played Colonel Slag Hoople, who was Wilma's father.
Yeah.
Harvey Korman notably he voiced the Great Gazoo in the original TV show.
Oh.
Also, this was Harvey Korman's last ever film.
Oh.
And something notable for me, because I was like, why is he so familiar? He was in Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Oh.
He played like the main doctor in it that has this like moustache that wibbles a lot when he talks. Joan Collins played Pearl Slag Hoople. By the way, Pearl is such a nice name.
Pearl's a great name.
I like it as a name, except that ultra-right, conservative, annoying woman online has kind of ruined it as a name.
I can't believe that there's one of those and I don't know who they are, and you do.
You've never heard of Pearl?
Never heard of Pearl.
She's the worst.
I don't want to hear about
She's
Pearl.
It's like she's taken on all of Andrew Tate's ideologies, and she knows that people will hate it. We've also got Alex Meneses as Roxy, Tony Longo as Big Rocco, and Danny Woodburn as Little Rocco. Notably, Danny Woodburn was Mickey in Seinfeld, and I was like, oh my God, it's Mickey. Anyway, here's the overview for this silly little movie.
Please, please, please.
Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble are lonely and looking for love. Meanwhile, Wilma Slag Hoople, born into a wealthy family and being manipulated to marry casino owner Chip, craves a normal life and runs away. She meets Betty O'Shale, a kind waitress who thinks Wilma is caveless. The two move in together. Fred and Barney meet the two girls and invite them on dates. Wilma and Fred fall in love, as do Barney and Betty. They all find out Wilma's wealthy background, and Fred meets the pompous Chip. Chip invites the group to his casino for a luxury trip away. At the casino, Fred is tricked into racking up a huge debt to Chip. Betty becomes convinced Barney is two-timing her, so she runs off with rockstar Mick Jagger. Chip frames Fred, claiming that he stole Wilma's pearls. Fred and Barney join forces to escape Chip's cronies and win Wilma and Betty back. Fred proposes to Wilma, who says yes, and Betty and Barney reveal their love for each other. The end. That's kind of it.
Okay, I had a few thoughts.
Okay.
I had one right from the beginning, right? Their license exam. Because an interesting conundrum is created. The Flintstones world is predicated on that they function like modern, to when the series is out in the 60s and stuff, technology, but all instances of technology are replaced with dinosaur. One of the few exceptions being car, which is it's just replaced with feet. It's really just like a frame more than anything. But in all other cases, it is technology, but it's a dinosaur. So it's like instead of a toaster, it's a dinosaur that heats up your bread. but you probably still put it in a box, and then there's a little dinosaur in there and it goes, blah, you know, that
and when
kind of
like
thing.
they're taking photos and there's like a little like
A dinosaur
inside and he's like pecking
drawing
out
pictures,
yeah, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, all technology is dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So,
but the cars have rollers at the front, by the way. It's not just walking. They've also got this big roller that pushes it along.
Which I guess would help with momentum and stuff.
Yeah.
But also, if you didn't have the frame, it would be easier to do uphill and like...
Yeah.
You know, you're really just running, you know. But anyway...
And potentially squatting at the same time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So good for the thighs.
But the cranes are brontosaurus because they're like I'm a bronto crane. Yeah. So it's a brontosaurus
because of their long necks.
Except for the license exam, they have a fake brontosaurus crane.
Yeah.
That is picking up real rocks. So they have invented cranes.
Maybe
they've invented real cranes that can just pick up objects.
Maybe brontosauruses were like, we're getting replaced in the workforce by AI, by machines, and they had their own industrial revolution. You know, I guess revolution against an industrial revolution.
Because this posits that they actually do have the technology to do this. They just choose to exploit dinosaurs.
Maybe the dinosaurs aren't getting exploited. They're actually getting a livable wage that they need.
Well, because even bridge is dinosaur. At a time they need to go over a bridge, it's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
They can't even invent a bridge, but they invented a real crane.
Yeah. Maybe they're just too dumb to notice that they've invented the crane so far. Maybe that's the idea.
They accidentally happened to... Well, let's reverse engineer what a Bronto does for us. And then they make a crane and they're like, this is good. Like the guy... Like there's the semi-apocryphal story of the Turkish guy who basically invented the steam engine so that he could turn a doner kebab. It's like kind of apocryphal because you can't just take that and then immediately have a fully functioning steam engine that generates electricity. But still, it's like such a funny,
an incredible
story,
revolutionary invention to get something very simple completed.
Yeah, so they invented a real crane to test if you can operate a fake crane.
I will say one of the most innovative nights of our life happened about 6 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
And we were going to a bottle shop to get drinks, and Michelle stepped out of the car and dropped her phone straight down into a sewer system.
I remember this.
But it wasn't full, so when we looked down, we could just see it sitting there. But it was like 10 feet below us through a grate that you could pull up, but there's no way of safely getting down there. And we didn't know what to do, and we spent ages thinking about it, and in the end it was like frustrating because we're like, well, we're not going to walk away. There's your phone, like you can see it. It would cost
there
another $1.50 to get another one. Why walk away? So we went on Airtasker and we paid these guys to come with a ladder and rope to go down into the sewer to go get it. And as we all sat there watching them try to climb in, we were like, this is too dangerous. They were going down the rope and he was halfway in, and we were both like, no, stop, don't do it, because we're worried that he'll fucking fall and hurt himself.
Yeah.
And then eventually, because they had a rope, they had gone to go get more supplies because nothing was working. And eventually, because we now had a rope in our hands, we put a big brick in a plastic bag, and then we tied that to a rope, and then on the bottom of the heavy plastic bag, we put a roll of tape that was stuck onto the bag and stuck onto whatever it was about to land on. And then we so gently lowered that brick bag with tape on the bottom of it down onto your phone, and then all pulled it up, and it was like a 3-hour ordeal.
The kids at home, the brick is crucial. Without the brick, you're just trying to lightly lay tape on, and it never sticks enough. You need
the weight.
It mashes it down to stick it harder.
We needed the mash action,
and
we got it in the brick, but we needed the stick action. We got it in the tape.
We got it.
We needed length. We got it in the rope.
Tape.
And then when we pulled it up, it was such a sense of achievement because we had configured the most bizarre, confusing thing.
Yeah.
But we got it back.
We fucking did it.
And the satisfaction was immense.
It really was. I still had to pay the guys, but it was like, you guys did a bunch of work. This is cheaper than
we needed the rope.
Yeah, we needed the rope.
We needed the rope. It really derailed our night. Like, we were like, let's go get drinks. Spent 3 hours trying to get a phone out of a sewer.
Yeah.
By the end of the night, we were like, fuck it. I don't need alcohol anymore.
Yeah. With that kind of high, with that kind of rush, baby, I'm flying.
Getting high on life and innovation.
Getting high from invention.
Joan Collins.
Yeah.
in it as her mum.
Mm-hmm.
Joan Collins always feels like it's like just it's like a shtick to put her in, you know? Like, it's not like she's a particularly good actress. It's just that it's Joan Collins. Like, she's a meme. She's a figure. She's an icon. It's like, I don't know. What's the equivalent
Describing Joan Collins as a meme is really funny.
She's kind of she was a meme before there were memes. That's my take. Throwing her into things, it was always like, and Joan Collins.
A meme, but in the actual root sense of the word, not in the modern usage of the word.
Truly.
Yeah.
Have you ever read any Joan Collins books?
No, I've never read her books that she wrote. I didn't know that she wrote books.
Well, she infamously is the sister of a famous book writer, is she not?
Which book writer?
Oh my God. Michelle.
Well, you're the one who's currently looking it up on your phone, so don't Michelle me. It's because you didn't know it either.
Oh, I did. Jackie Collins.
Who the fuck is Jackie Collins?
Jackie Collins is a very, very famous writer. She's an English romance novelist.
Yeah, she's really famous. Without looking at your phone, what's one book she wrote?
Romance novels. I've never read her stuff.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that she's not famous.
Go on, list one.
What the fuck? Name 5 of her novels. Fucking check yourself, Michelle. Take a fucking finger out. But yeah, she looks exactly like Joan Collins. They're a famous pair of sisters.
Oh wow, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Every time she pops up in a movie, I'm like, I don't enjoy it.
Did you enjoy? So okay, actually, no, I'll come back to that. Did you enjoy it? So when they go to the fair, there's the bit near the beginning where Fred is fucking equivocating, like, because, you know, originally the part of the joke is that Fred's gonna go out with Betty and then Wilma's gonna go out with Barney. Oh, it's so swappy. But then, like, Betty says like one fucking thing, and then Barney and Betty
she
are
laughs.
absolutely. Oh, that's why she
likes
laughs.
her laugh
because they both do have distinct laughs.
Yeah.
You know, and then they just run off together. And you know, Wilma's like, "Oh, do you want to do stuff?" And Fred's fucking equivocating about the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen.
Yeah.
About whether or not that'll be acceptable.
I know.
Insane.
I know.
But then later, I can't remember exactly what they're doing. But they finally get along, and then don't they like kiss, and then he does like a yabba dabba do, like a big yabba dabba do, and then the New Radicals start playing on her like smile.
So
it's
like
the most cheesy moment I've ever fucking seen.
I love that song.
I know you do.
They literally kiss because Dino wraps himself around them so that they have to kiss goodnight because they're both too shy. And then, she gets inside and she's smiling to herself and she goes, yabba dabba doo. And then the best song ever starts playing over a montage of the 4 of them falling in love.
Yeah.
I have to say, the funniest bit of the film for me, the bit that made me really laugh as well, was when Barney is led away to the buffet by Chip's girlfriend, Roxy.
Uh-huh.
And she gets cream on her face and on her boobs, and he's trying to wipe it off her. And Betty walks in and sees the back of her while he's wiping stuff off of her. Yeah. And he's almost pulling what I would call a Michelle face because he's going like, I can't do this for the podcast, guys, but he's almost going like doing a bit where you're like, you look startled but like aroused. Like,
is that a bit I do a lot? I pull a face that is startled but aroused.
There's like blobbies, and then she sees it and she turns around, like starts crying and runs away. I was cackling because of the face he was making.
Look, I thought going into that, I thought I'd be more offended by you describing it as a Michelle face, but then you also described it as funny. You know,
yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's a good face.
I could live with that. Thanks.
Do you want to hear some trivia about the film?
Actually, one thing first.
Please.
Just one quick thing first, because I had my one other main gripe. Apart from, I did think it was funny that she thinks that Barney is just fondling that woman, but
that's not funny. It's the face.
There's one joke that really gets me.
What?
Half the fucking humor in the Flintstones, well, 90% of the humor in the Flintstones and half the humor in this movie is just puns. And the puns revolve around one of two things: rocks,
I know,
or dinosaurs.
The rock puns?
They're all just about rocks.
So bad.
All just about dinosaurs.
Viva Rock Vegas to start with.
Well, they also just called him Chip Rockefeller.
Yeah.
They were like, we're out of time. Let's just take a real name.
Yeah.
Whatever. Except for one specific joke where they're referring to the famous actress Joan Crawfish. That's not a dinosaur.
I don't know, man.
That's just a regular animal we still have.
I don't know.
That's not a dinosaur.
I don't understand.
It doesn't fit the theme. I get a crawfish is probably old, but if he was called Jim Prawn, you wouldn't be, classic dino material.
Dude.
That's fucking crazy.
Wait, yeah, where did crawfish enter the mix? Where did that
it's Johnny Shark. Yeah, sharks are older than trees, don't you know? That means they count. No, they don't!
Someone's mapped it out on a whiteboard somewhere in the writer's room, and everyone's like, makes sense.
It doesn't. It's not a dinosaur, and it's not a rock.
But all of the rock puns took me straight back to fuck. Is it like Poison Ivy versus
Batman and Robin?
Batman and Robin. When
Poison Ivy versus
we're like Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze.
All of the ice puns.
Ice to meet you.
What did the dinosaurs
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Not true. Not true.
Here's some trivia.
Yes, please.
The creators of the original animated series, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, can be seen briefly during the wedding scene at the end of this movie.
They were still alive?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There was one quick shot of the two of them together singing along to the Flintstones theme song.
Wow.
Yeah. I think they died in not long after, to be honest.
Do you want a fun piece of trivia?
Yeah.
Did you know that the original show was the first animated show shown on primetime TV, meaning it was aimed at adults and stuff?
Oh, wow.
In the way that The Simpsons was.
Oh, that's sick.
That's part of why, famously, Winfield Cigarettes was a sponsor of them, and that was an era where if you sponsored a show, you could basically do whatever the fuck you wanted in the advertising. So they had Barney and Fred smoking cigarettes and stuff in the ads.
Funny. I don't know why, but earlier today I was looking up the 7 dwarves in the 1937 Snow White.
Yeah.
I was looking up all the people that voiced them, and there was this one particular guy that voiced Happy. Or was he bashful? It might have been bashful, but he smoked all his life, and he was one of the first Hollywood actors ever to denounce smoking before even doctors were, where he said, this is ruining my lungs.
Yeah.
And we need to do something about it. And he ended up dying of lung cancer in the 60s. But I thought that was so interesting. I was like, why? How did he cotton onto it before it became actual medical advice that was given to people?
I don't know.
On the shelf in Betty O'Shea's kitchen is a box of Post-Fruity Pebbles, a real-life breakfast cereal derived from the original animated series.
I only know about Fruity Pebbles because when I was a kid, so many games on the internet, so many free games were based off of Fruity Pebbles and would mention the Flintstones because of that, and I had no fucking idea what they were talking about.
I'm just looking up what they look like now because American food tends to terrify me, especially cereals.
Sure.
And these are no exception.
We've still got Fruit Loops, you know.
Yeah, and that's the worst that Australia offers, and it's not even an Australian invention. Oh, they look weird. Yeah, it's very colourful. Like Lucky Charms, the cereal. Eating that every day for breakfast?
Yeah, it kind of confuses me because in Australia, if you guys don't know, in Australia, a breakfast cereal is largely seen as a healthy meal.
In Australia?
Yeah.
Is it seen as... it depends on the cereal.
But outside of Fruit Loops, I guess Cocoa Pops, but Rice Bubbles are not super bad. And then there's Nutri-Grain and even Crunchy Nut cornflakes compared to that fucking mix that has literally marshmallows in there.
Really sugary though.
Yeah, but that's literally just bits of marshmallow.
That's the thing. These are definitely worse, but I would say even in Australia, our cereals, if you're looking for a healthy breakfast, probably not cereal. You're getting very little out of cereal and milk in the morning.
At least there's grain.
Yeah, might as just have some eggs.
At least there's grain.
Go get some eggs in you. They'll set you up.
Get some eggs and milk.
I fucking love
Get some eggs and milk. Oh,
yeah.
God. A friend the other day suggested that I crack an egg into one of the quick sachets of porridge because it would make it more custody. And I was like, that's fucking gross. That's disgusting. And then I did it and I really hate it. It's pretty good.
Really?
I wish it wasn't because it sounds terrible. But it was pretty good.
It's silky and custody.
And it was more filling.
Yeah. Get that protein in.
Yeah, got to get that protein. Get that sweet protein. I go to the gym now. That's a change over the last month.
Oh
guys.
My God.
I go to the gym now.
That's right. I'm going to sign up for a gym in my area.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the middle of trivia. We can't be getting distracted.
Okay. Kristen Stewart and her brother Cameron B. Stewart appeared in this movie as extras.
What?
She played Ring Toss Girl, and her brother played a caveman.
Wow.
Their mother, Jules Stewart, was the script supervisor. Kristen and Cameron were uncredited. But I was like, technically, all-star.
Technically an all-star.
She's back.
She's back, baby.
And Jane Krakowski was cast in this movie after Steven Spielberg met her at an awards show.
What?
And he asked her to do the part. And I was like,
okay.
I guess he was a producer.
I guess, yeah.
He must have been. Also, I've got some goofs.
Okay.
Because I thought these were silly.
All right, yeah.
During the movie, it is stated that Fred and Barney are the only one who can see Gazoo. However, at the end, Dino is licking Gazoo, and he says to him, "It will never work out," which made Dino sad. That means that Dino was able to see Gazoo as well. Everyone voted this goof unhelpful. And I wanted to read this one just because it tickled me that it was it's one long sentence. It's terrible. After Wilma takes a short walk and is stopped by Chip, the elevator door closes, then reopens when a lady pushes a button. A few seconds later, someone else pushes the button and it opens, not taking any time to move from the floor it would have gone to, and there's no one inside.
Am I misunderstanding there? Is that just not a goof?
Do you want to hear some reviews?
Yeah.
Reviews! On Rotten Tomatoes, Michelle, the Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas has a 25% score.
Oof.
The site's critical consensus states, the prequel to the first full-length feature set in Bedrock, Viva Rock Vegas is a surprising improvement over the Flintstones, aimed towards an audience... I know.
What?
A lot of people said they liked this more than the first one.
That's fucking crazy.
I know, it's very confusing.
The first one's not fantastic, but that's fucking crazy.
Aimed towards an audience of adults and children alike, critics feel Viva will appeal to a broad range of viewers.
It really is so funny to go like, this is pretty bad, but it is better than the other one.
I know. This is a 2 out of 10. Left by JM Cool 5164 in July 2000.
Oh.
Says good but screws up Flintstones history. This movie is not as good as the first one, mainly because the first one had John Goodman, but it is decent. However, not to sound like some weird geek, but this movie screws up the entire Flintstones history. They all met at the Holly Rock Hotel, not Bronto King. Gazoo was not sent to Earth, he crash landed. And most importantly, why make Wilma an heiress? That's stupid. You know in the cartoon where Wilma wants all of those fur coats and makes Fred buy them? Why wouldn't she have gotten the money from her mother-in-law? Asterisk, asterisk, half out of asterisk, asterisk, asterisk.
What?
That's it.
It's like fuck and a half out of fuck.
Here's a review left by Scooby G69 in 2000.
Like Scoob.
And it says, enjoyable, but for the family.
I think you mean, enjoyable, but for the family.
Sorry, it's actually enjoyable, but for the family? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Okay, so it's a little confused.
Let me get my voice warm for this one. I really enjoyed the first film and was skeptical of seeing this one with a different cast. I must admit, this Fred actually did a better job than John Goodman. However, I miss Elizabeth Perkins. I thought Steve Baldwin did a pretty good job as well. This was a good attempt, but it just wasn't... Sorry. My only complaint with the film was the sexual comments made. Betty invited Barney over to her apartment to have sex, and the Great Gazoo was sent to Earth to study man's mating ritual, and he tells Barney and Fred to go to it, as Barney is laying on top of Fred's backside. Barney starts cleaning a girl's chest area after he makes a mess, and to Betty, who sees, it appears that Barney is playing with the woman's breasts. This is supposed to be a family film, and I found this material very unacceptable for my 2 daughters. I thought Alan Cumming was wonderful as the Great Gazoo. The plot was very good. The acting was great, considering it was a cartoon, and the special effects were not bad either. There were no laugh-out-loud jokes, but I did smirk a couple of times. Be warned before taking your small children, unless you're ready to answer some sexual questions.
Oh my God. You know the one thing that is functionally guaranteed with every family? They fucked.
Yeah.
Some fucking occurred.
Yeah. And here's my last review. It's a 10 out of 10 from Ross Robinson, left in 2004, called When Fred Met Wilma. The Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas, I think, is a good movie, but not as good as the original one. The movie is based before the original, and to me, it's an idea just like the second movie, To Dumb and Dumberer, When Harry Met Lloyd, which is on the list, right?
I have no... I don't remember.
I think it is.
Oh my God.
In this second movie of the Flintstones, it based on Fred with meeting Wilma and Barney meeting Betty. They all set off to Viva Las Vegas to enjoy themselves, to enjoy themselves and to do whatever they want to do. When Fred proposes to Wilma, they both find a house, that white rock house in the original movie. In this movie, there were actors who I haven't seen before. The one that played Barney, I've never seen him in my life. The only actors in this movie who've been seen before is Joan Collins, who played Wilma's mother. The guy who played Fred, he's come from York, which is a nice place that I know so well. The woman who played Wilma, I think she was from the series Third Rock from the Sun. Those are the actors who I know. I give this movie 10 out of 10. Bless you, Ross. But that was just Ross's review. What was your review, Michelle?
To reuse a word, it's pretty turgid. It's just like, but at the same time, it did have more jokes in it. You know, there's a great bit that I forgot about when Alan Cumming as Mick Jagger is like first seeing Betty, and he does this like walk over. It's like, I love, how's it going?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, my boyfriend. And then like it cuts to this reaction from him where he kind of scampered, looks around as if he's like, a boyfriend. It's
so good.
It's so good.
There's that bit where he talks about his strangely slim frame when he's about to be beaten up.
That's true. Yeah. And it's hard to tell how much of that is just like a really well-crafted line versus a really great delivery versus...
letting him ad-lib.
You know, and sometimes we over-assume that things are ad-libbed by actors and, you know, sort of undervalue writers in that way. But, like, those moments are great. They don't make it a good movie, but they did make it an okay time. And on this list, boy, that is joyful.
Yeah.
I don't think I can give it more than a 5 because I don't think it actually functions as a real movie. It does still feel like a fake movie, like the kind of movie that you would see, like if I hadn't heard about it and I would stay at a motel and I would like be flicking on a deep channel and I'd be like, what the hell is this? They made a Flintstones movie, and you'd be like, what the fuck? Or what used to be the experience of you go, like made for a DVD, you go to the video store and then you pick out a DVD and you're like, I have no fucking idea what this is about.
Yeah.
If it gives me that feeling, and yet it cost $83 million. For that, it should be punished a little bit. So I'm going to give it a 4.
$83 million. Where did it go? Where did it go?
Up everyone's nose.
Probably. It has to have. Look, I'm ashamed of this in a sense, but...
Abby, no.
If 5 is a good year, I would 100% watch this again over a good year.
Do we have to pick a new 5? Like,
maybe, because I would not watch a good year. I wouldn't. It was boring. This was fun.
We should do it. I think we've said before we should do it as a bonus episode.
I think we should. It'll be dull.
Just to reappraise it.
We'll just come in and be like, yeah, it really was... like average.
Yeah, but if we give it anything other than a 5, we have to find a new one.
Exactly. Because of that, it's got to be a 5.2.
Okay.
Which is, I know, still too high.
Okay, 4 is too high.
Well, that was our reviews. Guys, we're on social media.
Whoa.
Have you heard the news?
Ooh.
We're on social media. You can find us on X at Rate to Sun Pod. You can find us on TikTok at Rating Descending, or you can even email us anything that's on your mind. Well, actually, I take that back. Just anything related to the podcast at ratingdescending@gmail.com. It really doesn't make a difference.
No.
Because that's for the bit at the end.
It makes a difference to us in our lives.
Yep, it does.
I like reading the emails.
But I was meant to say that after the review.
No, I know. But it does still make a difference.
Yeah.
But, you know where else makes a difference? On my own social media. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at michelle.stclair, and Letterboxd at mstclair. Or you can go check out really any of the things I've mentioned before. Shippers at Shippers Series, and Unerased on Instagram at -18youth. All those. Nothing new has come out in a bit, so.
And we have YouTube now. You can find us on YouTube at Rating Descending. No, you go. We're professional.
Or you can leave us a review wherever you get your podcast. We're giggling because Abby just fucked up and did this whole bit.
It's been a while.
It really does make a difference.
Well, that was the best movie ever. What are we watching next week, Michelle?
Next week, we're watching 2001 A Space Travesty. Leslie Nielsen space parody movie. Mm-hmm. We love those parody movies.
Woohoo! I love Leslie Nielsen, but
nothing has made me question how much I like Leslie Nielsen more than this list.
I know. Catch us then. Bye. Just imagine we were like surfing away. Don't know why.
Bye.